Have you been told this will never work?
Every single day we're just compared with Starlink, even when we are not doing what Starlink is doing. Because the entire general consensus from, non-science space watchers who are like space nerds but not exactly knowing what we do, I think for them is like any constellation, any comms, any global constellation is basically Starlink.
Welcome back to Mission Critical. I am here in the Bay Area with Onkar Batra, CEO and founder of Apolink, a YC-backed startup building 24/7 connectivity for LeoSat. Apolink just raised over $4 million to solve one of space's biggest challenges, eliminating dead zones. Onkar landed India's first open source sat while still in high school, and now, before his 20th birthday, he's tackling global SATCOM. Let's dive into his vision for the future of space. Welcome, Onkar.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, you and I had met, earlier this year.
Right.
And you were just naming a company, and you have done a lot since we met.
It's been a long journey. I think we met way before Apolink was a thing for anyone else who's watching right now.
Absolutely.
It was in stealth, and I think we started working together back in January. Like it was quite early when we started.
Well, it has been fun to watch this team grow and dreams get realized here. So take me back to the why. What prompted you of all things to think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the one? And you've made some big sacrifices.
Yeah, I think it's been a lot. Even if I go back in the early days of my journey, I think it has been like everything essentially. Because I think I dropped out of school after graduating. So I graduated high school and dropped out. And even before that, I think close to the COVID pandemic phase, I essentially dropped out because there was online schooling happening, which just never made any sense to me. So I never gave any exams or anything. So I was essentially not working. So I was very disconnected from the people who were used to be my age and, just doing normal school stuff. And that's when I dived into doing something extra. And I basically started my career with space and academia and research. And this is my first company, and hope it's the only company that I ever do. But
if you sell it, you could do a few more still. Plenty of runway.
I want it to be big.
Absolutely.
So I think because my whole background has been super into academia, and when I was doing my first open source satellite mission, and when we were close to launching it, we were designing the mission ops and the con ops of it. I think the basic problem that everyone faces doing mission ops is like, you cannot realize when the contact window is with the ground. And I was like, okay, that's bad. And just to realize that if you have limited ground stations, you have limited windows. So what if there's something critical? What if I have to send a very mission critical uplink packet? How do I do that? There's no more option. Maybe you connect to Iridium with their L-band low data rate option, and it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you have some really high data rate relay options with these, $400,000 optical terminals, which you cannot just fit into your satellite because it's really hard, it's cumbersome, it just doesn't work. So for us, I was
expensive too, right?
Yeah, it's like $400,000. So it's like almost $500,000.
And you're running a high school project.
I was running a high school project.
Yeah, you're trying to come up with $400,000 just to get this thing
because the
rolling.
entire CubeSat funding was $25,000. That's all. So in $25,000, build the payload, build everything from scratch, and then send it up into the orbit.
Mm-hmm.
And now I realize I'm paying $100,000 just for a 3U satellite launch. So journey has been quite interesting because from building this whole mission from $25,000 when I was back in high school to now actually paying $100,000 just for a launch. This is quite funny.
So bringing costs down, making it more accessible. Who's your market?
Literally anyone with a LeoSat in orbit.
Okay.
Because I think unlike, Starlink or Kuiper, all these big customers who are mainly focused on global broadband or direct-to-cell services on the telecom side, they're also trying to offer these relay services essentially for sat-to-sat, space-to-space. And what we are looking at is to disrupt that market by just focusing on mission ops. So technically, anyone with a LEO satellite does need mission ops. They do need their TD&C data being downlinked and having this opportunity to do uplink and downlink whenever they want to. And I think
it's on demand.
It's on demand. It's always on. And
is anybody else doing on demand right now?
No one else is actually.
Oh.
People are offering high data rate services using optical terminals, but I won't say on demand. It is kind of on demand. It's not always on though, because if you have to use an optical terminal, let's say transfer an Earth observation image that you capture, which is like, say, 20 gigabit in size. You have to stop doing whatever you're doing, and it should be a part of your existing satellite system. And then you have to point towards another satellite with an optical terminal, send that down, send it to the satellite, and then the satellite would send it down. And that satellite is the constellation which Starlink is building or Kuiper's building. So it becomes part of their, normal processes. It's not like an add-on feature which can help you make more use of your existing SAT system. Because all these bus companies, what they want is that if they have an add-on feature which can make their bus do more stuff, apart from their mission lifetime, that's all they want.
Yeah.
It's not really easy to do. And that's why we are making this on-demand service, which is always on, specifically meant for mission ops. So you don't have to get into a specific profile of, let's say, doing Earth observation or doing imaging or doing, IoT. You can be basically me in high school and have a cheap-ass CubeSat going into the orbit and basically still getting 24/7 TT&C that even, multi-billion-dollar companies are getting.
So you're creating the service for the high school kid you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like, deep down, that's what we're trying to do.
I love it. I love it. So going from seeing this problem in high school to launching your firm, getting funded, getting employees in, what's been the biggest challenge?
I don't know. I think all of us, including me and like the entire team here, we are very mission oriented. So every single day I walk into the office, I'm hearing like business problems, I'm hearing technical problems and everything. I think our first goal, at least right now on the critical path, is to get our first satellite up and show the world that we can do it.
That's happening August? June.
So June next year, we're doing our first launch.
June of 2026. Yep. Now we got to hold you to that.
Right?
Yeah.
We have like a T-minus clock right there. And it says 189 days.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, there is a clock with a countdown right behind the screen.
So we are right now on crunch time. Try to make our bus work and, put it in the orbit. We have payloads that our head of RF is developing. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. But I think our main challenge has always been there that, we have to do this link. We have to work with the customers. And given how slow the space industry has always been like, I think people don't realize it when they are from the Valley and they're like building Silicon Valley startups. They think like, space also have to move at the same intensity, at the same speed as like all these other SaaS, AI, or maybe other deep tech, hard tech startups too. But like I can do a lot of stuff faster internally, but space is very dependent. That's the reason one thing we always say is that
you can't go at it alone.
Exactly, right? You need like vendors, you need
You're forced to be a team player.
Exactly. So that's what we say, like, even if we hire somebody, we fire somebody, we say, like, there's no point holding grudges. The industry is super small.
You'll see them again.
Yes. We are going to cross paths anytime.
Is that what you've learned from some of the recruiting stories in terms of building out your own team?
Yeah.
Yeah. See.
Same goes for the vendors as well.
Did you always know from that experience in high school that your next move was going to be CEO and founder?
Yes and no. So
what did you want to do?
I think my entire life has been so spontaneous that I can't say that I planned something and that happened and I followed like a specific path. I think I was just lucky for the most part, honestly, that things fall into the places, because like there are like a million people like me who just graduated high school, really do want to drop out, want to get funding and want to do what they want to. But I think being smart is one thing. Getting it executed and having all cards play for you you can't control that. I was lucky that, the moment I realized that, my mental health is getting really bad in college, I have to drop out. I have to because I just did one semester at Penn State. And for whoever listening, I never told anyone, but this is my, I think, first time saying that, yeah, went to school. I went to Penn State. And
so you went straight from India to Penn State?
I was in New York after I graduated.
Okay.
Because I did a senior year of my high school from a US-based school called Avenues.
Okay. And that was during COVID?
That was in 2022, from August 2022 until like June 2023. So like whole senior year graduation. So I was in New York when I first got my first connections in the VC circle. And that's when I realized that if I ever have to do anything like business or, doing a space venture, essentially, I need to be in the Valley. New York is not a place for me. So
So you lived in New York long enough to know you got to get out of there
for some time.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did that, I went back home in India after graduating, and then took like almost a gap year.
Mm-hmm.
And my plan was to get my scholarship, get to a school in the US.
And you didn't have just any scholarship, right?
Yeah, I had the Rice scholarship.
So for those of us that don't know, tell us about that scholarship.
So it's a new offering. Schmidt Futures has been there with their Schmidt Science Fellows for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Rhodes Trust in the UK with the University of Oxford always had their Rhodes Scholars. And essentially back in, I think it was 2021, both of them decided to have a baby, and that was Rice, which was like Schmidt's offering, and Rhodes is the one deciding the scholarship structure because they have been doing the world's oldest scholarship.
So international, you can go wherever you want to go. It's fully funded. The whole idea was,
if you get a Rice scholarship based on your financial need, which is, again, there's like need blind. I remember these terms when I used to apply for colleges. It's like need blind, and then the other ones who look at their need and then make a decision, but whatever. For Rice, it was like if you become a Rice fellow based on your financial need, which for me was 100%, was like, you get into any school. So it's not like you get into any school, you get into a state school with 100% acceptance rate, or you get into an Ivy League.
So you were just offered a 6-figure plus gift.
Exactly.
Go to whatever school you want to. We will fund it entirely.
Yep.
You get halfway through first year and go, it's not for me.
Exactly. And that's something which was like a hard decision for me.
Right.
And also my parents, because they were like, okay, you struggled to get the scholarship. Because when I was in Avenues, my New York-based high school, I got it because I was a Rice finalist from the first session, from their first season. That was like back in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make it to the global winners. So at that time, I was just offered this additional opportunities because maybe they wanted 10 winners to be at Avenues, but they only got 9. So they were like, we're opening up one more spot from the finalists. I made it there, so I got more.
So you got the last spot?
Luckily, because they did not have enough winners to fill that. So they were like opening this opportunity to the finalists. So I had to go compete again with more 500 finalists.
Wow.
Then I got connected. Then I became more close to the actual Rise winners back in 2021. Then I reapplied in 2023, became an actual winner, which gave me 100% scholarship. So 2 years I struggled for that because it's like, you're going to a US high school, you're doing your hybrid education, but you still don't know if I'm going to get into a college.
And you needed the money to be able to go.
I needed, because like if Ivy Leagues are not going to give me a full ride, which is really hard to get as an international kid also, you're trying to apply for like a full financial need. And most of my schools were like not need blind. They would fill your need, but they still have to look at your need, make a decision, and think, if you're genius enough, maybe we'll do that. But most schools are like, why don't we get 10 kids with 10% need instead of getting one kid and giving them 100%?
Well, that didn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you scored the golden ticket after 2 years of extreme struggle.
Right.
Well, and I feel like all of us can relate to having this mission, having this goal, getting there, achieving it, and then going, this doesn't feel how I thought it would.
Yeah, and I think there's like a lot of psychological reasons to it, because I stopped talking to people my age when I was 14. So at 14, that was like back in 2019, pre-COVID, very close actually. It was like January 2020. I got the highest civilian honor you can get in India if you're under 18.
What is it?
It's called the Rashtriya Bal Puraskar, which translates to the National Child Award.
Wow.
So NCA is like, it's called the NCA. People think it's like a kid's award. It's not. National Child Award is the highest civilian honor you can get in India. And India is like the highest population out there. It's the highest civilian honor you can get if you're exceptional in your certain domains. For me, it was scholastic and academia. So that was my first time when I went out of, because I don't come from like a bigger city in India. I come from a very remote part, which is also very controversial because it's right by the border of India and Pakistan.
Okay.
And they have like this long history of fighting over that region. So for us, whenever there used to be any military conflicts, we would be cut right out of the resources from the rest of India. So no internet, no education, no nothing.
Hard to build a satellite without a school or internet.
The funny thing is that the moment I was building the satellite was during COVID, when first of all, everything was shifted online. At the same time, we did not have internet because they did some reorganization in certain law, which caused them to have a heavy military imposition in the state.
So you grew up in a rural military zone out of
Kind of.
India.
A little not
Contentious
exact-
zone.
Yeah, kind of. So
With spotty internet at best.
right, it was like 2G. It was only mobile data, no Wi-Fi.
You win the biggest award, the National Child's Award,
Mhm.
and then you're thinking, what's next?
After that, that was my moment when I realized there's actually people outside my estate, and there's a lot that's going on globally that we don't know because, like, yeah, we're just disconnected from the
Had
rest
you
of the world.
been to the States at that point?
No.
Traveled?
My first time in state was like very recent, 2-3 years ago. So
And you came and lived?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was in New York, then I was in Pennsylvania, and that was during Penn State time in Erie, which is another small town. That's another story. I was my roommate was, well, we'll not go there, but the whole idea was that it was a very small town and it was not super diverse. So there's like a lot of things happening at school at the same time. When I was disconnected from people my age, even if I had kids who were my friends at school, I would still not meet their mental maturity. I won't be able to hang out with them because I've been.
You wouldn't meet their mental maturity. I think that's a very nice way to say they might not have met yours.
But like, I think it was really hard to even adapt because I was really happy that, oh, I'm finally going to college. All these 4 years when I was just being by myself, isolated.
Yeah.
I can actually have friends and feel what friendship is like. Because when some people ask me, do you feel homesick being in the US? I was like, why would I? And the entire time I socialized with anyone as friends and not professional acquaintances has been just in the US. So if I go back home, I only have my parents, maybe my cousins and stuff, but like I do not have friends. Because the entire time I socialized was in the US. So for me,
so you learned how to socialize with kids your own age only when you came here.
The first time I took a street walk was in New York by myself.
Wow.
That makes sense. When I was in India, I was like pretty much homeschooled, kind of. I used to go to school, but it was like, oh, my dad's going to pick me up, drop me off, and I come right back. I did not have hobbies. I was just like in my home. So the first time I took the first jaywalk I did was in New York.
Wow. Well, glad the US was home to that. Now, from that really isolated experience growing up to now, you walk in the door, you've got 5 employees looking at you, constant interaction with individuals. I won't say that you're same age, but we'll say within a decade sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
What's it like having that?
What?
I mean, are you forced to be an extrovert all of a sudden, or what's that like in terms of that?
I was actually very extroverted this whole time. But when I moved to Pennsylvania, because of all the mental stress, I was forced to be an introvert.
Yeah.
And then I moved to SF, got friends. At least I can say I have friends, which I can call friends. No professional relationships, just pretty personal. Which is also a really hard thing to find as a founder in the Valley. Because everyone's working in tech. It's really hard to build like genuine relationships. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I have too many genuine friends. Now I need some professional friends.
Really?
Sometimes just like that, because I'm super disconnected from the tech circle in the Valley, which is like software and AI, which I should be because it's a really interesting circle to follow. But sometimes it gets overwhelming. So I'm happy that I work in space and I don't have to compare myself to them. Because subconsciously you can say, oh, I don't compare myself to anyone, but it's a subconscious thing. You always do.
Oh, we always do.
You open Twitter, you see random AI companies raising $60 million for a seed round. You're going to compare them. So it just happens. So I'm happy that I'm a little disconnected right here.
You see the 60 million raise and you're like,
just like,
darn it.
An AI company, seed round. Are you sure? Are you talking the right thing?
Yeah.
It just happens.
Absolutely.
I'm a little isolated. It's also good because you come here, I think you can lock in more because you're right outside the Valley. You're still pretty close. I still live in SF. So I still live in the city all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just like, when I have to be a little isolated, I come to my office.
Tell me about the transition to becoming boss.
Become a boss?
Yes. The boss persona. What have you learned about leadership in the past, 10 months as you're driving this change?
I'm actually happy that I learned leadership way before starting this company. Because I have always been, as I said, extroverted and being a public speaker. I was involved in Indian politics for a while, state politics, obviously during the whole 2G internet shutdown, all of that. And so I'm pretty extroverted working with people who are like 3 times my age. Has always been that way. I think better remain that way.
3x my age.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
That's been there. But when I was back in India, I was a guest lecturer and facility advisor. for one of IITs. If you know what an IIT is, it's like India's MIT. Very selective, actually more selective if you go into the numbers than MIT. I was a guest advisor there, and I was working on their undergrad satellite project. So I had the moment to be able to like get that little bossy feeling and being a leader and guiding students to do what they wanted to. But this is more commercial this time.
Mm-hmm.
Transition obviously has been quite easy comparatively, but still there's like every single day you learn a lot of things. And just imagine if you're like 18 or 19 and then you have to, let's say, fire somebody. That's like a lot of emotional toll you have to think on yourself. Professionally, it's all okay, but when you go home and you cry, it's like, oh, I just fired somebody. That's like a big emotional toll to take on yourself. And then I sometimes think like, okay, I'm 19. The only thing I should be worrying about is doing assignments on time and getting a 3.9 GPA. Why the fuck I have to worry about firing somebody and taking that toll on myself? But I think once you do it, because you just realize that
19-year-olds are thinking about other things too than GPAs.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, if this is my biggest stress, at least I'm happy that my stress is way more professional than other people's stress.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I console myself.
Is the firing piece the hardest part for you?
It's very hard when you're young because, like, I don't know, people call me nice, but I don't think I'm nice. I think I just want to be kind. I don't want to be nice. But like, yeah, when you fire somebody, you take that personally because I don't know. My professional and personal life is almost very same. I think it goes for anyone doing a startup because it's your own baby.
Well, and I think our audience can really relate to you. I think all of us have had to fire somebody at some point.
Right.
And, how we handle it. And, most people say it gets easier with experience. But yeah, I think it hits everybody in different ways, or it should.
Right. And I think I wouldn't say that I know everything because like no one knows everything. But every single day, I think I learn a lot of things, which might be, I don't know, the speed of that is really high. That I'm learning some things that maybe some people don't even learn by the time they're 32 or 33. And that's the reason most of my friends are like in their late 20s or early 30s because of that reason. Because even in my personal life, I can meet their mental maturity and we can be friends.
Onkar, you do not come across like a 19-year-old. I'll tell you that. I can see why you might have to age up a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. How will you know when Appolink's been a success?
That everyone starts using it.
The adoption.
I think that's a very generic piece. Everyone says that.
Well, in the Bay Area, we're always like, when you get sold.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's not a thing for me.
Mm-hmm. You said it's your baby.
Yeah. I don't want to sell my baby.
Nobody wants to tell a baby they're ugly. How do you take the criticism?
I think it just makes sense because some criticism is actually important because I think when you're doing a startup or you're just doing any project that you initiated, you have your own confirmation bias because it's your baby, right? No one want to know that their baby is ugly.
Mm-hmm.
It's my baby. I love it. But at the same time, sometimes, just like keep it that way. You have a baby who's, let's say, 11 years old, still acting very weird, still acting very childish.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to take that on yourself. Oh, maybe I'm a bad parent. Why is my kid acting like that when he's 11 or she's 11? And then someone tells you it's criticism. But at the end of the day, you just maybe take a step back and introspect. Oh, actually, why is that happening? And maybe sometimes it's important to know that something real is happening. Same thing goes for your startup. It's a bubble. You have your own mental biases because it's your own stuff. But at the end of the day, if some of that criticism actually makes you introspect what you're doing in life and compare it with this fast-moving world of business and space economy, I think it helps sometimes. And sometimes some criticism just doesn't make sense technically. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe in the next 5 years, they're just going to change the whole perspective of how world works. So if I'm doing something and the majority thinks it's bad or just doesn't make sense, in the next 5 years, because the people who believe this is right are maybe one of the biggest industry stakeholders. Mm-hmm. So I think their confirmation is, I don't know, much more needed for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if the general public thinks, oh, maybe this is a really hard idea or it shouldn't work or it won't work. And in the next 5 years, when we make it work, I'm essentially changing 90% of the public perspective. That's a big achievement for me.
Have you been told this will never work?
Oh, yeah. A lot of times.
Every day?
Every single day. Every single day we're just compared with Starlink, even when we are not doing what Starlink is doing. Because the entire general consensus from, I think non-science space watchers who are like space nerds but not exactly Knowing what we do, I think for them is like any constellation, any comms, any global constellation is basically Starlink.
Space nerds, but not exactly. The haters.
Exactly. They're like these Elon Musk fans.
How do you keep yourself in the right headspace when you walk in that door every morning, have a small army of believers that are working for you, and when you're hearing that kind of disbelief a lot?
I think I love it. I love working with them. I just don't feel like, that I'm the boss. I just feel like we're all working together for the same mission. And I'll tell you something. Over the past month or two, maybe just like, I think since July, I started having a lot of brain fog every single day I walk into the office. Doesn't matter if I sleep right, I'll still have a lot of brain fog, which would impact my day-to-day working.
There's too much writing on this.
Exactly.
What do you think?
And let me tell you something. Nature heals. I went on 2 days trip to Yosemite. No cell phone connection, no nothing. This is where Apolink is needed or Starlink's needed. But yeah, I was in that headspace where everything around me is just nature. I cannot receive any message. Emily's not texting me, No one's texting me and telling me what's going on at the office. It was a work day also. So 2 days, I have no clue what's going on with the rest of the world and I'm in nature.
Isn't it lovely?
It is very lovely.
I live on the Pacific Crest Trail. I know exactly what you mean.
I was in Yosemite and there was this lake coming right off the glacier. I go there. I, get into my clothes and get into my undies and just like stay there in the lake. And I lay down, open up my hair and just dipping inside the water. And I did that for 30 minutes. We did that as a joke. And I was like, the water's spiritual, the water's great.
It sounds a little cold too.
Yeah, it was really fun. Because when you get used to that temperature, it just feels so good. Did that and came after that. It's been like almost more than a month. No brain fog. Maybe this time I actually sleep 4 hours, 3 hours. Still no brain fog. I just realized I think touching grass is a real thing.
Forest bathing, as the Japanese will say.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, you probably saved yourself a lot of doctor's visits.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if I'm listening to any other, founders podcast, they're like, oh, I did DMT, I did this drug, that drug, the psychedelic, and that opened that third horizon in my brain. I was like, no, just go.
Go for a hike.
Go for a hike.
Yeah. No, I love that. We sound very West Coast on this. Before I let you go, you've got a satellite launch coming up.
Yep.
You're here to get adopters all over the world. What will we be celebrating 3 years from now?
I think we would be celebrating a point where you don't have to spend $1 million on getting a terminal and connect. And, you know how this whole thing from radios to telegraphs to internet has been in the past 4 to 5 decades. You went from radios to televisions to smart TVs to Netflix today. No one watches TV channels anymore. No TV broadcasting from Geo doesn't work. Now you have Netflix. Everything is over the IP, Internet Protocol. I think same thing, the same adoption is what we want with Apolink. Want to be celebrating that. It's no more an external service you're getting. We'll be happy to see if more competitors come in and try to join and try to make a standardized adoption system for relay networks. Because at the end of the day,
we'll think of it as another app.
Yeah, we just want someone to do it. Maybe we're trying to do it. If we're not able to do it, someone wants to do it. At least we are happy that when we announced ourselves, you'll be really happy to know that we prompted one of the 3 biggest telecom SATCOM providers to offer a very similar service. They announced that at SmallSat in August. So that's been great. We got the industry.
And you're saying congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
So many other people will be like, darn them copiers.
Welcome to the club.
Bring it on. I love it. One of the unique things I know you do in interviews when we say, Onkar, you should talk to this candidate. We think he'd be great, but it's going to take some work. He's really skeptical of startups.
Yeah.
Your response always is, oh, now I want to talk to him.
Yeah. That's fine.
Bring it on.
See, anyone's like, oh, I'm very submitting. Oh, whatever you say is good. I want the job. No, we don't want that.
Yeah, you like a little dissension there.
Right, because this industry is actually, I'm telling you, what we have been doing has been tried twice in 2 different ways by startups right here in the same soil of Mountain View and Palo Alto back since 2015. And the last one who started and died is back in 2021. So they tried here and they died here.
You're walking into a graveyard.
Exactly. And the industry has changed, I think, post COVID, when NASA announced their CSP and their scan programs to do relays as they're sunsetting TTROs. I think the industry has changed and investors are putting in money. There's an actual traction and demand. And Starlink achieved their optical ISLs, Kuiper achieved their optical ISLs. I think Kepler also did that with TSAT terminals. So essentially, like, everyone validated the market. And now it's totally different. So when people come in and they say like, oh, because all of the people we have interviewed who were skeptical, they had like genuine ones on the technical standpoint, on the financial standpoint, or maybe on the regulatory standpoint. So every doubt they had was like with the logic. So it was not a dumb question. And I was like really happy to, prove you wrong and tell you what we're doing. How is it different then? Because we don't want to make the same dumb mistakes that other startups said. It wasn't dumb. It was just like, whatever time they had back in 2015, everything was different. We don't want to make those mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. We'll make new ones, but not the same ones.
I love that. We'll make new ones, not the same ones. Well, this has been so much fun. If you want to learn more about your project and your work here, where do we go?
Go to apolink.space or just email me at my first name.
APOLINK.
APOLINK.
Dot space.
Space.
Thanks, Onkar.
Thank you.